All right, so we have Bill Bradshaw nomination in the Best Screenplay of the Year category for Oileán. Congratulations, Bill.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for the nomination. I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful festival.
So we have a few questions for you. What made you go into films?
I grew up in a small farming community in the west of Ireland, very sports driven, and it wasn't my thing. I wasn't. I never leaned towards sports, but there was a small cinema in the town, very neglected old cinema, and I found myself there as often as I could, um, even when I was 8 or 9 years old, and that stayed with me throughout my life. I mean, film has always been a huge part of my life. And when I started writing, when I started writing initially, I wrote a novel. I wrote a novel some years ago, and it did quite well, and I stuck with it. But the idea of telling stories, creating stories, that's just magic. And then I adapted that to screenplay, and I've been working on those ever since.
Okay, great. So you started early on, like it was a childhood dream that you had.
It was absolutely a childhood dream. I mean, I was very lucky. I grew up in the 70s, and with the exception of animation,
Mhm.
every genre reached its peak in the 70s for me. Animation, obviously, went on to do other great things. Huge fan of Studio Ghibli, the Japanese animation studios. But I was fortunate. I was exposed to the most incredible stories that were told by Scorsese and William Friedkin and people like that. And I was grabbed at an early age, and it just became a cornerstone of my life, and still is to this day. There's no greater excitement than watching a movie that changes you. And every time that happens, you say, it will never happen again. This is the last time it's going to happen. But film does that. And it every so often you see something that will change the way you think about the world. And I don't know too many things that do that.
Yes, usually it is what makes us want to go in films, like when we see a film that changes us, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, it does.
And what messages do you want to transmit when you write?
Um, Again, not so much a message, just a kind of, I suppose, an approach. I spent 15 years working in a maximum security prison. That's what I did for most of my life. When I left there, I studied psychotherapy, counseling, and psychotherapy, and I brought that to the writing. I think that I studied it to help me to write better. And I learned through all those experiences that the most important relationship we're ever going to have is with ourselves. And I think that you really got that when you did Keep Painting Mom, um, Helena's Dream. The idea that, you know, we have to contend with ourselves first.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for
oh, it was
watching my
wonderful.
films.
Wonderful. And I have to say, I watched both of them, and I thought they were fabulous. Two very different pieces, different styles of animation. I only watched Keep Painting Mom earlier today, and I thought it was fantastic. It was really wonderful, and you played with animation, which really made it interesting. And I've looked up the synopsis on Trapped Within, and again, that ability to stand outside of yourself and look at your life as a spectator. That's really how I approach writing.
So yeah, it's a lot about cinema to look into ourselves and to change ourselves as well when we write. So it's but the script that you wrote, it's also about a man who has a lot of problems. So was it inspired maybe by someone you knew or?
Oh, I think that, I think that you can't create, without inspiration. And I think that every character that's in Oileán Oileán is a Gaelic word. It's an old Gaelic word for island, and I everybody who's in it is inspired by somebody. And of course, the idea that he is in the middle of his own life, unaware of it, and everybody around him is either an experience that he's had or a version of himself. And again, going back to the psychotherapy, and indeed going back to the prison, I think that we I think that we find it so much easier to forgive other people than we do to forgive ourselves. And I wanted him to look at his life through the eyes of a spectator, as if he was watching somebody else's mistakes. And in doing that, he would find it easier to forgive them and in turn forgive himself.
Mhm. Oh, that's such a nice message as well that you're transmitting. Such an interesting script. Thank you again for submitting it.
Oh yeah, and thank you again for nominating it. It's just I'm so pleased, really am.
So we're looking for scripts like that who has like a deeper meaning. Like say, it's more than just entertainment. So we're
Yeah, that's it. And again, that's an approach to film. I mean, look, there's 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 great pleasure in fantasy, and I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of Peter Jackson, but there's also a real satisfaction in a life story, and if it's told well, I'm not saying that my story is told well, it's just told from experience. And I think that brings an extra layer to it. So thanks for having us.
So it helps people grow to read and see that kind of film. So thank you for making that. So where can we follow you, Bill? Do you have a website?
I don't have a website. I'm too modest for a website. I don't think I've achieved that status yet. I update my LinkedIn page all the time. Thankfully, I won an award today in at the Kodai Canal Film Festival.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
yeah, I actually was it was great because I won the special jury prize, but I also won best writer. And sometimes you can pick up an award for the script, but it's nice to pick up a writer's award. So I've updated that. So that's really where everything that happens script wise is in there, and I've always kept that current.
Okay, great. So maybe I can put a link to your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, absolutely. I'll send it to you, of course.
Okay,
Wonderful.
great. So we'll do that. So hopefully a lot of people will go and follow you as well. So thank you again, Bill. So we'll keep you updated about the rest of the festival and what will happen next. And we hope to read more of your scripts in the future.
Well, there's loads of scripts to come, so I'll send them your way.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Okay.
much. So it was
Thank you.
very nice meeting you. So I'll
And
keep
you,
you
Eloise.
updated.